Welcome, young lady.
Thanks.
How are you doing?
I'm rather a wreck, and I'm not doing well, and I'm not getting very far with I did my mind shifter. It was very easy. I felt it was entirely possible and good that I would, stand my ground and feel that it's right, all that stuff. So I evidently didn't do a very good mind shifter. So you had suggested that I draw a line and just say, look, Jake, as long as this kind of snarkiness, I use the word snark because it's friendly, it's lighter.
Yep.
I say, if we don't immediately give you money that you're asking for when we're already thoroughly supporting you and have guaranteed all the way through next year, and you get nasty, snarky, when we say, well, what about your job? And we are trying, it's sort of, I use the analogy of, we have a lot of seedlings in a sunroom. And I said, when the weather gets warm enough, we put them out during the day, and it's called hardening. We bring them back in at night because it's a little too harsh out there for them. So we're gently putting them out and putting them in until they're ready to be outside. And we're trying to harden you by getting you on your own feet, because you've expressed terrible fear about being able to support yourself. And you have said many times, I'm going to need to be taken care of. And our family policy for all the grandkids, and we've told them from the beginning, is once you finish college, if you've been lucky enough to be supported by us, you're on your own. You can get scholarships, you've got to get jobs. And he fights this, and he has a tremendous amount of fear about this.
Right.
So I've been writing him kindly emails, texts, and he counters everything I say. You're attacking me, you're abusive, you're manipulating, you're controlling me, you're using money to control me, you promised, now you're going back, you're liars. It's just endless. And I thought, well, I'm going to draw the line then. So I said, let's not talk with a foreseeable future. I'm in Al-Anon, you're doing the 12 steps. Let's really do those and see where we get. It bombed. He put a very upsetting, this is where the rub is, he punishes us on Facebook. He doesn't mention us, but he says, I have decided, I can tell you what he said. I wonder if I can find it. I can't even move my fingers right. I'm so agitated about this. The last thing he posted was how he is no longer going to put up with manipulative, nasty people. And thoughts for the day. I relinquish myself from the desire to control what others think, what others say, and what others do. It is not my responsibility to heal those who refuse to be healed. So it's all on us again. And I'm finding myself really just going under for the count. And I think
sounds like you've set yourself up for a
wrong.
crucifixion. What a perfect day.
Yeah, it is a perfect day. Right. So I started a worksheet, and of course I got a lot of feelings like anger, frustration. Name my object, Jacob. These only hateful motives in Tim and me. What is my fear? That he won't make it in life. That's one fear. And that we are permanently and forever wrong in his eyes, which seems global to me. And then I want to punish him by showing him what he's doing, which would be terrible punishment if he really understood it. And I want to punish myself by believing him and feeling as if I just don't know how to love him the right way. That's as far as I've gotten. I want Jake, a goal, my constructive exact goal is I want Jake to learn to be kind and loving in order to get along in life. But, I'm all over the place, Michael.
Well, you've got about probably at least five worksheets there, and I don't think you really want him to learn to be, I think you want him to be loving and caring with you.
Yeah.
It makes it more immediate. If I put it off into the future, like I want him to learn it, it's not as immediate.
Okay.
And I think it'll bring it a little closer to home. It's like, I want him to be decent with me.
Yeah.
I want him to take care of I who support him.
Right.
And it sounds like he's an expert at drawing out every guilty thought you hold. And bringing up the parts of you that think you're responsible for the suffering of the world. And that's a big piece of healing. You know, when I think back over the years of the number of different issues that you've talked about, and you really, your mind is telling you you're feeling bad because of the plastic or because of this or because of that. And of course, your mind's feeling badly because there are thoughts in there that are thought disorders that resonate badness. So what's the goal then? How would you word the goal?
God, I got a ton of them. That's the trouble.
Okay.
I want.
So you want to just do
like
one
us.
at a time? Okay.
I want Jake to like us, to think well of us, to appreciate us.
Yeah.
Not to see manipulativeness and nastiness, even though we're giving him money that he really has no particular right to. It's a gift. That's one goal. That's not
one of the things
happen.
one of the things that you've worked on over the years many times is how it comes back inside of you and the work that you need to do. And it sounds like maybe there's a bit of grief involved in this whole scenario. And I think it might be time to reverse that somewhat and recognize that what he's bringing up in your face is about him. It's not about you.
Yeah, I understand.
And that he's on a trail and a track of just manipulative and nasty, which, nobody wants to see anybody on that track. That's why in the AA movement, people have to be held accountable no matter what the cost, because the longer they stay in their disease, the more, until they can face it and start to move. And at this point, I think you're tipping a little too far in the arena of responsibility. And I certainly can understand the grief at watching your own flesh and blood go that far down the tube.
You said yesterday that it would be the reasonable thing to step back, even if it meant he took his own life, which I'm not sure he's ready to do, and thank goodness, so that means we have some time.
Well, hold on a second. I want to be clear about that. I wasn't saying even if he did. That wasn't what I was offering. What I was offering yesterday is that with the languaging he's used to hold him accountable, that's a risk you're taking. I'm not putting anything in the arena of, do this even if he does. That's not my thinking at all. I just ring because I've worked before in the arena where someone's been threatening that and has followed through. So just to be aware there's a risk of that. And you're going to have to determine how far you're willing to go. His own mother and father have washed their hands of him because they're not willing to go along that road. And you've gone so far above and beyond to try and pull him out of this.
Tim Hayes suggested going back to doing the gentle art of blessing, and that's been very helpful. Just to disconnect keep up the gentle art of blessing. That I can do. And I'm just reminded of it. Again, I was doing it while I was walking this morning, but I lapse back. For instance, I told him yesterday, no more communicating now. I've been the one person. He might talk to me for 2.5 hours, and I'm thinking, why is he talking to his grandmother for 2.5 hours? Where are his friends? Where are his colleagues? Where are his gigs in school? Why isn't he getting parts for shows? He's not. And he's good, and he doesn't understand why. And he said one day, maybe it's because I get kind of weird in class, which may mean he's getting snarky, attacking. He does go off on tangents and things, and kind of frightens people. And I said to him, well, maybe that's a good thing to look at. Maybe that is the reason, and can you put that under some scrutiny and not do that? And he said, yeah, this is a reasonable talk he and I had. But then that reasoning in him, we'll have great talks, and I'll think, oh, he's getting better, it's good. But then he'll want, it's always money. He's so frightened about his future. He'll want money, and I've been told by his mother, you cannot keep feeding this. You've got to help him get pardoned. I don't want you giving him money for anything. If anything, I will give him money. It'll be my decision. And I've agreed to that. So I say, Jake, I'm not in charge of the money anymore. Talk to your mom. Well, he's been blocked from his mom. So I get this.
He's going to have to be responsible to get to talk to his mom.
Yeah.
And you're a pathway to him not having to be responsible if he can manipulate you into providing what he wants.
Yeah. Well, I said yesterday, so we're not going to talk for a while. But what did I do today? I wrote him a long text, and I said, Jacob, it would have been so easy, and you're so smart. All you need to do is learn respect, to honor the people who are loving you, recognize that they're loving you, and ask in a kindly way and explain your needs. You might get better results. It's very simple. And he said I was, he used a word like deflecting, something like I was using some technique to take him off the track. And I got into this complete tizzy. Like, I don't know how to reach him. I can't reach him. So I feel as if it's
There's
hopeless
the goal.
when we talk about
There's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the worksheet on Susan, and there's the goal. I want to reach him.
Okay.
That's the core piece. So I'd start a new worksheet with Susan as the object. So in 1C, I'd put your name.
Okay.
In 1A, I, Susan, who am love, am feeling. And it sounds like the major energy around this particular goal is fear.
Yeah.
Would that be it?
There are so many.
You want to reach him in fear that you're going to fail, or fear that you have failed.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm focused on Sue now, and not in 1A, 1C. I'm focused on me.
1C would be Susan. Yes. This is the goal that you
totally
have.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, here's my offering. He knows your chains and buttons, and he can pull them at will.
Mm-hmm.
If there are no chains and buttons there, then there's nothing for him to pull.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it sounds like literally everybody else he's pulled and chained and pulled and pulled and pulled and pushed until they've all just said no more. They have no idea how to get rid of those buttons. But this one is the one that he grabs inside of you. So Susan would be 1C, and the situation is, I don't know how to reach him.
Okay.
I don't know how to fix him. You know, maybe they're kind of one and the same, or maybe they're slightly different.
Yeah.
And then the second part, so that I. So if you're to say, I really want to reach Jake and have him living a healthy, happy life, so that I
can relax, can go back to my life in peace.
So you can let go. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So the unfortunate truth is, he perhaps at this point isn't reachable.
That's what it feels
and you're
like.
torturing yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're taking responsibility for that and torturing yourself. So what are the symptoms of healing going to look like? Is there anybody else in your world that you can remember wanting to rescue them?
Oh, sure. That's a common theme.
Okay. So you keep creating circumstances to bring that lesson forward, it sounds like.
Yeah.
For you to learn.
Yeah, and there's a wrinkle in there, because if I can't help them or save them, I'm a bad person.
Yeah. You breathing?
Yeah. Mm-mm. No, I am, yeah.
So it sounds like there are several conclusions, several thought disorders that perhaps were fed to you by a power person, that if I can't save him, if I can't accomplish this, can you remember ever needing to accomplish something that your power person wanted you to accomplish and then being brutalized because you couldn't or didn't?
No. No. We had a one weird dynamic in my house, and you know about that. But other than that, it was a fairly normal, I think, household. And I got praised for accomplishing things. So that doesn't fit, but I know you're hovering around what it is. I remember, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but I went to a retreat, a psychotherapy retreat, when I was in training as a transactional analysis. I was learning transactional analysis and Gestalt therapies in a center in Connecticut. And we were in a big circle, and there was something going on where when it came my turn, I felt as if my biggest wish in my whole life was to have the leader of the group like me. I want you to like me, I remember saying to her. And sure that she wouldn't. And somehow I realized that I was begging my mother for her to like me. And I'm thinking now that it's so devastating to think that Jacob would think ill of me and not like me. And then he goes and publishes stuff. He doesn't name us, but I take the beating, you know. Oh, that's a good word.
Right.
So anyway, that's where it hitches in, I think.
So notice that he keeps hitting. He keeps hitting right on your core issue.
Yeah, he does.
So here's a hydra. So have you got a blank worksheet there?
Yeah, I can get another one. I got a whole pile in front of me.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll come up with a file, so why don't you grab the whole thing?
Okay. All right. I've got two of one kind and two of another, but go ahead and I can find the ones that ought to belong in one.
So then 1C would be, once again, Susan.
Okay.
And that the goal that I'm hearing, and see if this fits, is that I can be approved of, so I can be safe, or I can let go. I can relax. I can step out of hyper-vigilance. Sounds like around him
Yeah.
with the number of blows that comes that you become hypervigilant. And I think that relates to what you were talking earlier about the one challenge there was in your home was you had to be hypervigilant to be safe.
Yeah.
And no child should have to be hypervigilant. So just breathe into that for a minute and start that next worksheet.
Okay. All right. The thing that's amazing is I live with this guy, Tim Bingham, and I say, Tim, have you read, because I printed out Jacob's latest text I read. I brought him into Tim. Have you looked at him? Yeah, I've sort of scanned him. What'd you think? Well, he's scared, he's acting out. I say, how do you feel about that? And he said, well, that's what he's doing. He said, I'm just waiting for it to settle down. It's not bothering me. I mean, I'm sorry he's doing it, but he's completely detached. And I think, holy mackerel, how do you do that? So anyway, I'm getting a good view of a person who's normal. I think Tim is normal.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But he also says, when he's talking to us this way, I'm not about to give him any extra money, believe me. I'm not doing that. So he's not enabling, and he's normal. He's detached. So I've got a vision of that.
So if you were to, I think here's our next hydra. So if you were to look at the situations in your life where you had to be hypervigilant.
Okay.
So 1C on that worksheet would be fear, and the thought would be, I have to be hypervigilant to be safe. Who would be number 1C in that scenario? I mean, is it mom, is it dad, is it big brother, big sister, first guy you dated, school teacher? Who would fit in that 1C blank? And if there's more than one name, then I'd list them all out, and they'd each be separate worksheets.
I have a question for you about the hypervigilant.
Yes,
I can't even fit that into my household scene because my sister and I wanted my mother's attention. And the way we would get it is to fight right under her nose until she whipped us. That doesn't look like hypervigilant to me. It looks like stupid or desperate. I wasn't fearing my mother because she might fly off the handle, although there were times when she did, when she was just particularly sensitive. I poked her once on Christmas morning to get her attention, tried to tickle her, and wow, she hit the roof. And that was a surprise. So that might have taught me to be hypervigilant, but I don't think my sister and I were hypervigilant. We were asking for it. We walked right into it. So, you're chuckling, but that's what we would do, and that's what we would get. And evidently, that was better than nothing. It was horrible, but it was better than nothing. What is that?
Okay. Well, let's get the next worksheet.
Okay. Got it.
And the object of attention is mom.
Okay.
And I want her attention. And isn't that kind of what Jacob's doing? He's running under your nose begging for attention. His mother's cut him off for attention. His father, his brother.
Oh my God, that does ring a bell. You know what? That is so true. You're onto something. Michael sent me, not Michael, I'm thinking Michael downstairs.
Right.
Jake sent me probably 6 photographs of himself in various states of looking like a panhandler. You know, half a beard growing, circles under his eyes, not well, too thin. And he said, this is me 3 months ago, and this is me now. Can't you see that I'm not using? There's no evidence in those pictures except that he didn't have a puffed up face the way alcoholics might. He's probably just using weed, if he's using it all. And I looked at them and I said, I don't know what to make of these pictures. You don't look healthy, but you're very handsome. And I'm hoping you'll take good care of yourself to get your health back, whatever that is. And 2 days later, he said, have you sent those pictures to my mom? I said, no, you didn't want me to. It didn't occur to me. And he's not talking to her. She's not talking to him. And
right.
So I said I would, and I made screenshots, and they're still sitting on my computer because it's Holy Week. This is the busiest priest in the world right now. I'm not sending her
right.
those pictures until after Easter is over. Then I'll send them if I send them at all. Yeah, so
my question would be, you're taking responsibility for what he wants. And, you know, kind of sneaking around your daughter having put up a protective shield for herself. And for me, that would be a violation of your daughter's privacy.
I didn't get that at all. Say again, Michael?
Well, Jacob has so racked his mom that his mom says, we're not communicating.
Yeah.
So now he's pulling your chain to go around her choice to protect herself and use you to pull her chain again. And my take would be that would be a violation. Yes.
Oh,
I would be, if I were you in that situation, I'd be saying to Jake, you know, if you want to get your mom, you need to do it. I've changed my mind. It's not my place to do it. Your mother's made choices to have a certain style of communication with you, and I don't want to violate that. But he's using you to violate. That would be my take. That's how I would see it.
Okay, that makes total sense, and I'm relieved because I don't want to send them to her. However, what I have been doing is she wants news about Jacob, and she asks me, have you talked to Jacob? And I'll say yes, and then I'll say it's not going well. He's doing his snarks. I don't go into detail, but I tell her that, and I'm wondering if even that is violating her safety zone.
I think I'd say the same thing to her as you're saying to Jake. You know, you set the rules, and you don't want communication from him. So you're now, you know, using me to communicate with him. And I think you need to, if you want information about him from him, then you need to go to him. Because then it's enabling for, on both sides, it would be enabling to be the go-between when.
Yeah. Okay. So no more reporting. Okay.
I mean, that's one. I mean, there are certainly other perspectives. I'm just saying it looks like, you know, you're perhaps being in the middle and being manipulated from both ends.
She just wants to know if he's safe, and that's a matter of what level you're talking about. He's certainly physically safe at the moment. He's at school. He's doing well in his courses. But
she needs to communicate with him if she wants to know of his state of mind and safety. And that's, you know, perhaps, you know, I don't know what tools she has, but with the tools she has, that just might be too much because he's a tough case. And maybe one of the reasons he's become a tough case is this is his cry for her attention. And so he'll beat and abuse you to get you to the point where you'll cry to her and get her attention for him. In the meantime, it's like you're the rope in tug of war. Tough to be you know, I've never thought of it before, but the rope's got a tough play in tug of war.
Yeah. A lot of stress on it. Yeah.
A lot of stress, yeah. being pulled in two directions or more?
Well, the best I've done for Jacob is to tell him, and this is your teaching, I said, I will never stop loving you. I will love you forever. I love you unconditionally, and I'm always here, but we can't talk now. And, you know, until certain things change. And, of course, he thinks I'm the one that's got to change. And that's part of my frustration is I'm thinking he's got to change. But I guess I really do have to change. I really have to, on some level, not care anymore.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of not caring. You can care. You just need to see when you're being played and say, I'm not playing the game. I'm going to step out of the game. I'm here to care for you. You ever want to have a loving, caring conversation? I'm here. Let's get on the phone. But if what you want to do is manipulate me and beat on me, no thank you. And if you want to beat on me so that I'll go to your mom, no thank you. I'm not playing those roles. So I don't think that you have to yield one bit of caring to do that, but you do have to be willing to take care of yourself.
Well, you know, so often and lately I've had good discussions with Jacob, and then they turn bad because he wants money, and we have a rather tough stand at the moment about that. And then they get ugly, and I think, is this forever? Now, maybe, are you saying that if we talk civilly, we can talk tomorrow, but it has to stay within certain kinds of decency and respect?
I think that's a reasonable request to make of a young man whose bills you're paying.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, the invitation continuously there to be able to look at, Jacob, what's going on in your mind that you can even think of talking to me? I'm your grandmother. What's going on in your mind that you can even think of talking to me like that?
Oh, he has answers.
And basically, in his criticisms of you, he's telling you about his mind.
I know.
All the things he says to you, he's telling you about what's going on in his life. And unfortunately, you can't change that. You can create the space and invite him into it, but you can't change his mind for him. And if you take that responsibility, you're going down a path of self-destruction. If you try to take that responsibility.
Yeah, okay, that's right on. That's because I can't change his mind. I can't turn him around. I wish I could hold a mirror up and say, who are you talking about here? But he won't do it. And I try different ways. That's what keeps me in this loop. I keep trying this and that and the other, hoping something will break through and he'll say, oh my God, yeah, you're right. That's not happening, and it's probably not going to happen. It may take years. It may never happen.
And especially if he's using.
Well, as you said yesterday, he's acting like a drunk. Whether drinking or not, it doesn't really matter. He's acting like a drunk who hasn't done his work, and that is so true. From the first step, I realized I was helpless. He hasn't done that step yet.
Right.
What does it take?
Well, according to most of the AA philosophy, at least that I'm aware of, the people who've spent decades working with people in this position, it takes some hitting bottom. And the toughest thing for anybody who's watching to do that, because the bottom can be deadly, is to watch somebody hit bottom and not have to reach in and rescue, because rescue is just the next level of, you know, prevention of healing.
Yeah. Well, after yesterday and my relapsing and getting in touch with him, I thought, I've got to get strong enough to let him do that. Right now, I don't feel strong enough. I feel as if I would just break all the rules and run in again and buy time, make it happen later.
That's the hope of the enabler. Maybe if I just do this one more time, then maybe it will work.
Exactly.
And it doesn't work.
That's exactly
It doesn't
right.
work.
It doesn't work. Okay.
And certainly if there's anybody that's listening that's experienced in the arena of alcohol and drug abuse, if anyone has anything to share, then please feel free to press 1. And
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, it's that part of your wake-up sheet where you say, and prevent me from making up another story so that I can start this cycle over again, rather than doing the work and getting out of the cycle.
Right.
I'm making up other stories.
Well, I think you've got 3 really good worksheets to go ahead and walk through that look at different aspects. You know, when you realize that in order for your mind to produce this whole, you know, you've heard me talk before on the show about, you know, we open our eyes, we look at the room, and we know it's the brain that's producing this highly detailed ornamental light, and this cell phone sitting over here, and this television over there, and this piece of art. I mean, what all comes into play from the unconscious in order for the brain to produce that detailed an image? Mm-hmm. What all comes into play in your mind to produce the kind of detail that it takes to have you so wrought with fear and guilt and desire to fix this that you can't step aside from it? And they're the underlying energetic patterns that, in order for you to get free of what's going on for you, you're going to have to forgive. And I think those 3 worksheets we just got started on are going to take you right into the core of it.
And 2 hands went up, so I'm not sure if they have a comment for Susan or not.
Is that okay with you, Susan?
Oh, sure. In fact, if they have another thing to talk about, I'm good. I'm ready to go.
No, they may have something to say to you, so stay there.
Okay, I'm staying, but...
Okay, all right.
All
First
right.
one is 760. Anne, you're on the air.
Yeah, it is me, and Susan, you must stay there.
Okay.
So,
That's my goal.
That's being very direct. Yeah, right. So, as I'm listening, what I picked up was the detachment that is so profound that Tim Bingham has. So I went to my Al-Anon book. That is, you may or may not have one of these. I would encourage you to pick up one. It's called One Day at a Time in Al-Anon. If you look in the index under detachment, there is 22 pages on detachment. I would encourage you to read every single one of them, and I'm only going to read one of the 3 that I have circled. But they all, in some way, would apply, right? Okay, this is how it goes. Detach with an exclamation mark. We are told in Al-Anon, this does not mean detaching ourselves and our love and compassion from the alcoholic, or put Jacob's name in there, from Jacob. Detachment in the Al-Anon sense means to realize we are individuals. We are not bound morally to shoulder the Jacob's responsibilities. I'm just going to put his name in there. Detachment from the problems caused by compulsive blank shows us the futility of covering up for Jacob. Keeping up a brave front, being ashamed or apologetic for situations not of our making. Once we can hold back from such complete involvement, we will have a new sense of freedom and strength. And that's what I just heard Michael say. Yes. And I've been breathing as I'm reading that. And then it goes on to the today's reminder, and then, you know, the scripture from 1 Corinthians. That is a super page. And I hear that that's what Tim is doing. She's got that. So you will have new sense of freedom and strength. I support you in that. I support you getting all those pages and see which ones apply. Some of those 22 pages may apply more than others. Another helpful thing in that index is helping the alcoholic. Well, clearly we know what kind of things are we going to need to do to help. And then the next one underneath helping the alcoholic is called honesty with self, which I hear that Michael's guiding you to those wake-up sheets.
Yeah.
To be honest with self. Okay. That's my offering with love.
Thanks, Andy.
Sweet.
Have you come out of your traffic jam?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm loving. It was a great experience. So I know you can do that same thing with this once you get a handle on detachment. And I had to do that with my husband as well. He was a recovering alcoholic, but I still had to do it. And sometimes I would totally detach, and that was not the thing to do because I was wrong about the definition of a detachment. But what you just described, what Tim did, your Tim, I had a Tim too, he is able to do that with love and with compassion. And so
But Jacob knows how to grab.
Yes.
Jacob knows how to grab Grandma's chain.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to, and I've listened over and over to the stories, in group. The ones that get the freedom and the strength are the ones that say no more. And you've said no more, but you still have conditions. So when you let go, anyway, but that's what you have to do, not me. But I can hold that space for you, most assuredly.
Thanks.
We each
Yeah.
are.
Absolutely.
I need
Yes,
the cavalry. Need reinforcement.
Yep. Yes. And those pages, those other 21 pages, or the rest of that page, and the one I highlighted in the today's reminder part of that page was detachment is essential to any healthy relationship between people. Each of us is a free individual with neither one in control of the other. And like Michael says, he kind of has you in control, so he can trigger you. Okay, Michael, love it.
Thank you.
We got
awesome
her.
input.
We got the pen down.
All
right, blessings, love.
We're all heading in the right direction.
Yes, amen. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
We have another hand. I believe this is Celinda, 541. You're on the air.
Yes, it is I. As I've been listening to this, I've been reflecting on the broken relationship between me and my daughter of 4 years. And one of the things I have learned as a result of that, doing worksheets, and by the blessing of Magda, who added 2B, that second part to the goal, to be safe or whatever, is that any of my negative issues are basically around being safe, because I too was hyper-vigilant, had to be hyper-vigilant with my power person in order to feel or be safe. And what I realized by reflecting on my worksheet is that when I'm in a negative state and I get a goal that's accurate, what's always the little tag on the end is so I can be safe or loved or any other positive emotions, which in my CBM mind are equivalent to being safe. And so one of the things that I'm learning is that if I want to be safe, if I truly desire to be safe, I'm going to have to let go of my outcome, which is what the goal is. The outcome is what I want to happen, or have it my way, or be in charge. And so I have this little image that I fell into when I was actively practicing Al-Anon, of where I had this image of me on stage with a little flashlight flashing on the crown of my head as I sang my little victim woe is me song, because things weren't coming out my way. So I would like to share that with Susan, because there's so much of what resonates with her that I have either am or have been experiencing in my life. And if that fits, if that resonates for her, then I offer it with my blessing. There was also a 12-step bookmark, which I would love to find, and that I can't find anymore. It might have been AA, it might have been something else, that the only expression I remember on it was about, and maybe it was about detachment, it was said, neither condoning, nor condemning. And it just strikes me as that middle path again. I'm still doing my best to stay in the middle path with my daughter's continued lack of response. I have come to a peace about I may never have a relationship with her again. And I really thank you, Michael, for mentioning don't be the go-between, don't be the rope between in a tug of war, and don't make anybody else the rope in a tug of war. And so I will look at that more carefully, because I feel really comfortable with how I'm responding to the situation, and yet at the same time I realize that there are areas that are weak that I have not strengthened myself in, and so I will look at those more carefully and make sure that I make neither my grandson or my son or my little brother-in-law from my first marriage, who's her uncle, I make sure that I don't make any of them my tug-of-war rope, or my translator.
Good catch.
And
we hold the space. We hold the space for you to hit on the piece of work that you need to do that changes the unconscious communication with your granddaughter. And the same for you, Susan, that changes the unconscious communication both with your daughter and with Jacob.
And I have some thoughts, too, about what this to be safe is connected to. To be liked or loved is to be safe. To fix is to be safe. To be responsible or sacrifice myself for everyone and the whole world is to be safe. And all of those states are a state of hyper-vigilance, and they're all distinctly part of the outcome, the way I want life to be. And so that's a whole new learning curve for me. And actually, it's like surfing a wave. I'm pretty excited about the whole thing.
It's literally psychological survival.
Right, exactly. And negative attention is better than no attention at all. This has been shown in the research forever and ever, in the psychological research. And if we cannot get positive attention, we will automatically go for negative attention, because our survival depends on it. And when you look at the common reality, there's been research also that really tugged at me, psychological research, that people will probably give 10 times the negative reaction or response to someone if attention is not asked for, it'll be almost always negative attention that they receive. If attention is asked for, we're lucky if we receive it 50% of the time. That's not real good odds.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad I was able to listen in today.
Sweet.
And
any thoughts for you, Susan?
Well, the business of Belinda with your daughter, I was estranged for 25 years from my daughter. She called once a week dutifully so. It wasn't like she was just afraid to be caught calling us because her husband didn't like us and wanted to keep us apart from him. And that was awful. But for you to not be in touch with your daughter, I just feel for you. I'm just so sorry this is going on.
I'm at peace about that, Susan. It's not
That's
yours
amazing.
to carry. It's not yours to carry. It's mine to carry or drop, as I like.
Yeah.
And and I have come to peace that I may never have a relationship with her. I have one more question for you, Michael. If she doesn't want me to respond to her, the only thing I have been sending Easter cards to Michael and including her in my blessing, but the card is to him. And I have been sending her a birthday card. Now, what I'm asking myself in light of this conversation, am I violating? The only way I know to find that out, because she doesn't respond to me, is to ask Michael if he can give me a little feedback on her response to getting a birthday card. So I can know.
Well, pretty much be the same thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get a little clarity from you for that. Because I don't want to use anybody. But I was wondering, I don't know if she honors that, allows that, and is comfortable with that, or if I'm violating. So maybe I need to just go within and ask.
Go within and ask, and ask her.
And ask her directly. If I don't get a response, that means that she doesn't want it. Okay, so good. That's good. I could just email her and ask her. Yeah.
Yeah. Not getting a response is a response.
Right.
And you have every right as her mother to continue to communicate with her and let her know that you cherish her, you're in process, and you're going to communicate with her forever. That's just the way it is. And what she chooses to do with it is up to her, but that you're there.
Right. Now, am I telling her this, or am I just inferring this by the fact that I send a birthday card to her and a Christmas card to Michael? You know, I send them because he's family, so I send a Christmas card. Yeah. I'll ask. I'll go within and ask. But I think
we'll
that's
hold the
great.
space.
Yeah, I think that's great that you said I could ask her directly, because I could. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
And
I appreciate that.
I would put into that equation that you also communicate that it is your desire to continue to communicate with her.
Yes,
and
because she is my firstborn.
How deeply you cherish her.
Right. She is my firstborn. It doesn't mean she's more precious than my secondborn. It just means, hey, she popped out of my body.
Yeah,
she's
that's
very
huge.
special. Yeah, it is huge.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you, Susan, because what you have shared is really helpful for me. The work is never finished.
And remember, from the Healing Through Relationships workshop.
Right.
Excuse me, go ahead, Susan.
No, I was just saying, tell me about it. The work is never done.
It's never done.
It appears to be that way.
But work's not a four-letter word. That's what you told me, Michael.
There you go. So remember, from the Healing Through Relationships workshop, one of the definitions of children is our unconscious mind hang out in true living color and Dolby sound. And everything that we've never wanted to deal with, seeing as how they're made of the same genetics we are, they're going to play out. And as we resolve what's moving in us, the external circumstances will tend to resolve.
Amen.
Wow.
Which is what this one parenting book I cherish says, although it's the process of getting that information to embed itself in our cellular structure, is called Whole Parent, Whole Child. So I offer that. I don't remember the author, but it's a beautiful piece of work. Beautiful piece of work. Whole Parent, Whole Child. You can get it on Aid Books or something. Yeah, for probably nothing.
Holding you in wholeness.
Thank you. I am complete. I appreciate and am grateful for your journey, Susan, because we are soul sisters journeying along on similar paths, and that's how we embrace and learn from each other. And thank you, Michael, for your comments. And Jeannie, love you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I'm complete.
All righty. Take care.
We're down to 1.5 minutes.
That
So,
was
Miss Susan,
extremely
how are you
helpful,
doing?
Michael. I'm doing much better, and I have my walking shoes or whatever, my walking papers or whatever you call it. I've got my worksheets to do. Thank you. Something to hold on to and a path to take. I was just not doing very well. Thanks a lot.
Well, you might have just given yourself a good piece of information, and that is you might just want to go ahead and put on your walking shoes and go out and walk and breathe and let some energy move physically.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that too. Yeah.
All right, dear heart, we're holding the space. We cherish you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Jeannie too. How you doing, Jeannie?
We're doing good. Doing good, thanks. Good. We've got Aria all day today. She's on spring break, so
Right.
keeping us busy.
We're blessed.
That's a lot of
Jeannie went
doing.
Easter egg hunting with her this morning.
That's wow. Okay. Good Friday hasn't even finished. Boy, you're jumping the gun.
It's a place down on the other side of town. It's a children's playground, indoor playground. And so they opened it at 10 o'clock this morning for Easter egg hunting.
That's great. That's great. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us, and have the best year yet of your eternal life. And remember that this is the time where there's a lot of energy available, if you choose to use it consciously, for resurrection, for raising from the ancient non-being self into the truth of who we are as the presence of love. Holding space for everyone to do that. And blessings. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.